Alright, this week I'm actually going to get back into training ideas. So I'm going to introduce the concept of supersets and drop sets. So now the idea of drop sets is kind of like taking one weight, for instance, doing like bicep curls or something, and then doing that first number of reps, putting that down, and then pulling up another weight, a lower weight, and doing the same exercise at a lower weight. So that the concept between for that is to try and get yourself to like ultimate in a sense failure. Of course, that's one term for failure. So there's many different types of failures and everything. So I know places like Athlete X has talked about this and everything. So if you want a much more broader view of what actual failure is, you can get into something like this. But like the idea of like a drop, like I said in this video, a drop set is kind of bringing something to failure. So for instance, the bicep curl, for like instance, taking like a good old 20 pounds, you do a bicep curl, and then like when you sit here and you do a whole set and everything, and you do a whole set of bicep curls, you put that down, and then you put up like for instance 15s, and then you pretty much do the same exercise until you fail that and everything. So that's the concept of a drop set. Now, of course, I'm just using a bicep curl as an example. You can do any pretty much it with anything for pretty much any exercise. For instance, you can sit there and do the bench press. The setup I have back here, you could set up a barbell, do like the bench press and everything, then turn around and maybe get these dumbbells and do like a dumbbell press, kind of like a same kind of concept with like the drop set. So like for instance, you do a barbell bench press at say 135 pounds. You put once you rack that and then you're done, you pick up maybe 50-pound dumbbells and do dumbbell press and bench press until you fail and everything. So that's pretty much like the concept of a drop set. So now superset is doing in a sense two exercises back to back. Like for instance, taking the same dumbbells, and I sit here, I do basically for instance, like the bicep curls, for example, again. Then I turn around and then I immediately get into like a tricep extension and everything. So then I do pretty much that for a certain number of for reps or maybe to failure or something. So for instance, that in that way, I do bicep curls for maybe one set of 12 reps and everything. Then I turn right back around and do the extensions for my triceps for 12 reps, or for like a matter of to failure or whatever. So this is kind of like a simple concept of how you do like a drop set or a superset. Now, the great thing about those is that you can in a sense condense your workouts and everything. So for most people, they're familiar doing 3 sets of 12 reps or whatever. So like the bench press, you sit there and you do whatever weight, like 135 pounds. You do like 135 for 12 reps, and then you sit there and you rack it, and then you sit there and kind of do like the rest for like a whole 30 seconds, a minute, maybe 2 minutes or so, depending on what your goals are for either hypertrophy, strength, or muscle endurance and everything. So the shorter the rest time, the more you're getting into muscular endurance. So for instance, the 30 seconds I said, that would be you do the bench press for 12 seconds, 12 reps, you rack it, then you rest for 30 seconds, you get back and doing another 12 reps, and boom, you do a 30-second rest, and you get back and do your third set, do 12 reps, and boom, you're done. Now you're more getting into more hypertrophy, or getting into in a sense muscle size, by maybe doing a minute, maybe a minute and a half, and then you're getting into a pure, in a sense, pure strength by doing maybe 2 to 5 minutes rest period. So for instance, the idea of that longer rest period is that you're pretty much doing a heavyweight, lower reps type of deal. So you need more of time to, in a sense, recover from that set and everything. So the idea of of course, with supersets and drop sets is to reduce time, going from the 3 sets of bench press. Then you go to maybe 3 sets of dumbbell bench press, and then you go to maybe 3 sets of a overhand press or whatever if you're doing a push workout. Then maybe you do so traditional workout routine, you're going from one exercise to another to another to another, and like maybe you have like a 8 or 9, maybe 10 exercises that you have throughout your whole workout, and so like you're doing the three sets of whatever reps you're doing, like the 3 by 12 or 3 by 15. You do 3 sets per like exercise, and you're moving from one to another, and then like the typical like a stereotypical rest time is like 1 minute in between each one. So like for instance, like the 10 exercises, you might be doing say four like pressing motions, like a variation like the bench press, the like barbell, dumbbell, and then maybe you doing like the pec fly, and then you do like an overhand press, and then you maybe do like a couple for like your triceps and everything. The concept of like the drop sets is that like it can increase the volume by like doing that traditional, okay, 3 sets of the bench press, and then like I said, use the 135 pound example. You rack it, and then you get the like 50 pound dumbbells. Like I said, you do that, and then you do the supersets for like maybe all 10 exercises that you're doing. So you're in a sense, you could say you're doubling your volume by doing drop sets. Not like of course it's not necessarily doubling because you're not necessarily doing 6 sets at the same weight, but like you're doing in a sense double the work and everything, because like you're dropping weight and doing more work and everything. Now the reason why you want to do that is to increase the volume. Now with supersets, the great thing is it actually reduces the time. So like instead of doing like 3 sets of the barbell bench press, you now go from the barbell bench press, like doing the 3 sets, and you're combining the dumbbell bench press or whatever. So instead of doing them separate, what you're doing now is they're taking the barbell bench press. You're doing like the three sets of 135. You do 1 set, and you push, and then you immediately rack it, and then you grab your dumbbells, sort of like a drop set, but like you're doing one back to back and everything. So like you're combining 2 exercises together. So now where supersets work great is like I like the example of doing like a bench press and a row. So like for instance, like so you're not necessarily doing the same muscle group right together, like the barbell bench press and then the dumbbell bench press right together and everything. What you can do is like the idea of the doing the superset is like you can combine like different muscle groups and shorten the time period. So like for instance, like I said, using the barbell example, you're doing the barbell bench press. You sit here like you would rack it like on something like this, then you immediately would get up and then move into like a barbell, like a row or whatever, and to get you back and everything. So you can do like in a sense like a push and pull type of workout together with a superset and everything. So it opens up options that you can do. Or, for instance, another way to do like superset, if you want to just focus on like the push pull leg split, which is probably one of, if not the most popular split, what you do with like supersets is you do, again, using bench press as a prime example, you do the bench press, and then once you do like say like 3 sets of 12 reps at 135 pounds, I'm going to use that example. You rack it, and then maybe you stand up like I am. You do, and then you go right into like an overhead extension with a dumbbell to get your triceps, and then instead of doing them separate, you're doing them together. And then maybe the next one you do the dumbbell bench press versus like a drop set of like a bench press at 135 pounds and 50 pounds for dumbbells, like I've said before. You're now doing like the bench press and the dumbbell bench press separate, but with the second exercises like focusing maybe on like your triceps, like the bench press plus the tricep overhand extension. Then maybe you do the dumbbell bench press, and then you get up and then you sit there and you do kickbacks. So like a kickback would be something like to get the triceps and everything. So like you're basically just kicking the dumbbell back. So that's another way to do supersets. So this is like the concept of drop sets and supersets is great in that it lets you condense the time. So for instance, doing the 10 exercise example that I mentioned before, say it took you an hour and 15 minutes to do all 10 exercises, doing 1 minute rest periods in between like each set and everything. What you can do is like, especially with the supersets, this is why I like supersets and drop sets so much, is that by combining like those 10 exercises into maybe since 5 groups, you now in a sense cut that down the time pretty much like almost half as much and everything. So like say instead of taking you an hour and 15 minutes to go through those 10 exercises, now it takes you say 45 minutes even with the 1 minute rest and everything. So that's a good extra half an hour you're saving. And so it's the same kind of concept of the drop sets, because like the bench press example, by dropping the weight and doing like an extra set, you're getting yourself to failure that much more faster, and being able to save yourself some time and everything. So like I said, the example I used, for instance, like cutting your workout time from like an hour and 15 minutes to 45 minutes, you're in a sense upping the intensity, and you're also lowering the time, and to give yourself that extra like a half an hour so you can kind of get on with your day and get into recovery, which is probably the most important thing that you can do when especially when you're lifting or anything. So that's kind of like a quick video this week on the concepts of like supersets and drop sets. And of course there's a plethora of like studies and stuff that you can get into. This video is just the kind of like, hey look, here's a concept that you might not have heard of. I personally like supersets and drop sets because of the fact that I said that it does condense your workouts and is able to save you time and everything. So it's just another idea to play around with your training. So this is definitely something that you could quite possibly get into with like your lifting routine. Or if you're brand new, I would say start with a full body split and then work your way into like these drop sets or supersets as well.